Oh my god guys, look, I'm back with another video game analysis. Something that about over 1,000 of you have subscribed to me for. Either that or the sex doll video. And with the view ratio between the videos in which I analyse things compared to where I have let's play videos, there seems to be a preference for the analysing videos. Look man, my gameplay videos are good, okay, you just don't understand. Why is it on top of a Ouija board? I don't think a Jew would appreciate that being on top of a Ouija board.
I don't think many people would appreciate, like, their mortal remains being... Why have we suddenly assumed that that's the mortal remains of some Jew?
I just assumed that the jar was a Jew. You said that jar was that was like someone's mortal remains in there. That's actually what Jews look like underneath their skin suit. Like, you see, what a Jew actually is if you can crack open, like a trap door.
Stop! That's
fucking stab. That's not going in the video. So to keep my head away from the inevitable global conflicts of rising powers such as Ghana, we all like to bury our heads in video games. I was at work once and a colleague came up to me and started asking me about video games. I mentioned to him Scorn and asked if he ever played it. He said he didn't, and instead he watched some YouTuber discuss Scorn instead. He mentioned about how he watched this YouTuber discuss like the art book. I think he was blissfully unaware. I asked him if this person he watched was a funny YouTuber. He said no, and so I almost savaged him on the spot. But speaking about inevitable conflicts in discussing video games, I would like to discuss a Russian game called Atomic Heart. This is a game that a small Latvian boy reminded me existed. So Atomic Heart is in the sort of boat where it's a game made by a small studio that was originally announced years and years ago, but is only just coming out. And this is a game that I heard about and saw all the promotional stuff for when it was first announced. Though the difference with a lot of other things, like, I got interested in Scorn or Agony, is that I never really got interested in Atomic Heart. And like many games made by small companies, it's very weird and psychedelic, though the difference with Atomic Heart is it doesn't seem as grotesque as many of the other ones we've seen in the past. And so when it comes to Atomic Heart, because I had only seen the stuff that first came out about it, I hadn't followed it for so long, and so it was very interesting to come back to it and see what new developments there were. And since then, the game's had a lot of very endearing developments, and I am not surprised that this is the most replayed section of the trailer. And so having come back to look at this game, I want to wrap it up in a neat little bow for you and discuss all the different aspects of the game. And we'll first off start with the story and setting of the game. So Mundfish, the game's developers, haven't exactly been quiet about what the story is. They have released the full story, and so I'm going to neatly explain to you briefly what the story of the game is. In the 1930s, under the reign of the Soviet Union, a scientist known as Dmitry Sechenov was developing advanced robotics in what is now modern-day Kazakhstan. Now, of course, in the modern day, in that region, to the people of the region, the Kazakhs, the Uzbeks, and most certainly the Karakalpaks, Phil Flanagan is a household name. Seriously, if you see my statistics, most of my views in the past month have come from Tashkent. Another various, steppe country cities. I'm just popular over there. What are you doing, steppe country? Anyway, so Dmitry Sechenov in the 1930s was developing advanced robotics, which then, of course, when Nazi Germany invaded in 1941, of course, invaded the Soviet Union, in 1941. Yes, I know they invaded Poland in 1935. 1939, 1939, don't savage me in the comment section, for the love of God. But if I don't make that distinction, somebody in the comment section is going to get pissy about it. It's happened before. So, Dmitry Sechenov effectively tries to unite all of his robots into a single mind called the Collective, until he eventually develops something called neuropolymer. This effectively allows human brainwaves and the human mind to actually control machines themselves. To which, if you thought the Collective was good, he decided to make the Collective 2. Because Dmitry Sechenov is a strong believer in the idea that, you know, there should be like a collective consciousness, pretty much. You know those people who say like there's a consciousness to the universe? I suppose it's kind of like that. And thanks to neuropolymer, Sechenov's advancements in robotics take off, and they make the Soviet Union a bustling technological powerhouse. And they effectively get, you know, fully automated luxury communism. If you want to hear my ideas about AI just doing stuff for us, and you can go watch my video about NeuroSam, I discuss a little bit of philosophy of the idea of just AI doing everything for us. You know, NeuroSam became racist.
Have any of you heard of the Holocaust? I'm not sure if...
Why do all of the learning AIs become racist? I should really make a video about this. Unfortunately, I cannot confirm whether the Collective 2 in Atomic Hearts becomes racist or not. I suppose we can still hope though. Yeah, so anyway, needless to say, this luxury communism doesn't last and things go wrong. Though luckily the problem is, you know, condensed down to only one facility. And this is where the game takes off. You play as a KGB officer by the name of Major Natchev, and you are sent by Dmitry Sechenov to effectively sort out what's gone on and like put it down before this expands. And so now we can actually discuss the gameplay. So from what I've seen, the gameplay looks very heavy. This is no Doom where you'll just be running about firing off 50 shots in the span of a second. You move very slow from the looks of it, and the enemies are very hard, and many of them very agile, like this big wrecking ball with legs. That looks exactly like the Omni droid from The Incredibles, actually. Of course, the most important question would be, is the gameplay and combat fun? Well, I've seen quite a few videos of people who have gotten early access to the game. The game being heavy feels like it adds more to the threat of the machines, and there seems to be a bit of a stealth element to it, similar to fighting the androids in Alien Isolation. And this gives way to the other abilities that you'll be getting in the game. The main one that I see people use a lot, it always appears to be the freeze. Though granted by the neuropolymer, there is also telekinesis and electricity abilities. And though there will be a large variety of weapons and the game is marked as an FPS, there is also the fact that ammunition will be very scarce, forcing you to be sneaky much of the time and be very wise about how you spend your ammunition. Of course, this is assisted by the fact that the game is somewhat open world, and as you go deeper, you'll see more of the utopian robotic luxury communism being stripped away for the terrifying underbelly underneath. But who will you be facing, and what weapons will you have to kill them? Well, the answer to that is the lists are very long. Here's a complete list of enemies. And here's a complete list of weapons. In total, there's 32 types of weapons and 23 types of enemies, most of which on both sides have yet to be revealed, but I want to go over the different types of enemies that have so far been revealed. The first is the Belyash. This is an MA9 robot, well, according to the wiki at least, that seems to be used mainly for mechanical works like heavy lifting and welding. The next is, well, Natasha, who has absolutely no description as to what this robot is, but we have a picture of it. And the next is Robotnik. Now, I know what you're thinking, but not that Robotnik. Robotnik is Russian for worker. Apparently these things are designed for animal husbandry. Why would you have this thing tend to your animals? It's got a fucking saw blade in its head. It's like, oh, the saw blade's for cutting lumber. Moving wood. It's like, yeah, that's great, but could you not at least make one that can tend to animals without this dangerous fucking saw sticking out of its head? Next up is the Raffic, who's just a mechanic that will just do whatever the hell you want it to do. And then the last is the Laborant, which is used for laboratory assistance. Although I want to know where on this list is this terrifying clown. So what are my general thoughts on the game? Well, they're a bit weird because I can't really pinpoint much about the game. It feels more like a sort of Bioshock stalkery type game. And the game tries to be grounded, but there are some weird psychedelic parts of it. Like, why are all these water and fish floating in the air? Although that might have something to do with the same reason we had telekinetic powers, something to do with the neuropolymer. Though while Mundfish isn't necessarily a proven studio, I do always like games from smaller companies, and it doesn't seem like something that would be a waste of your time. Like, this would be something fun to play. Though, let's just look at the price real quick. $54.99! Alright man, there better be a lot to this game if that's what if that's what it's costing. Actually, I have a curiosity. Let's check the edition. Standard edition, you just get skins. I don't care about the skins, right? The digital art book for premium edition. I know what happened last time I reviewed an art book. How much is the premium edition? $89.99. I'm just gonna hope that I make enough money back when I make YouTube videos when this comes out.